How do you reignite your life? You know, if you're like ready for a big change, or you just want more vibrancy and more pop and more joy and more energy into your life so that you can actually feel happy about life, how do you do it? Especially if you've been through like a dark period of time and you're just like, I just want to turn back on, you know? Maybe you've come through a breakup or a divorce, or you've started a new business, or you just recognize like, hey, for the last 6 months, you've kind of sucked. You know, life has just not been good. It's just been like upsetting, and you're like, I need something new. I need to revivify. You know, you're in that place where you're like, I just need some new pop in my life, Brendon. How do I reignite? Well, some of you guys know I did a whole course on this with the Oprah Winfrey Network back in the day, but I've been really thinking about it lately because so many people are asking, like, okay, I feel like so much negativity. I want more positivity and joy in my life, but I also need to change, because a lot of people right now, they're in transition. You know, they had this part of their life and now the career changed, and they're like, oh, I'm in this part of my life, and they want to do it better. So this still applies to you. So how do you reignite your life? I got 4 big ideas. I call it the 4 Ps, okay? The first way to reignite your life is not to have a midlife crisis and become a metaphor, okay? What I mean is that most people, what they do is they think, well, I must have to move. I got to move to a whole new location. I see, Brendon, you moved to Puerto Rico. It's great. I guess I got to move my life. No, my life was already ignited. I didn't have to move somewhere to find it. You don't have to be in a new relationship, start a new career, move to that new town. Often, when we want to reignite our life, we look for these big things. Well, I'll feel good when I win the lottery or that perfect thing happens. You're waiting for that perfect thing to happen in order to feel good, and that makes you a novice in personal development. And I say that with all respect, because we all do that at some point. I can recognize time in my life, I'm like, Brendon, why didn't you feel better at that stage of your life? Because I wasn't using my mind well. And so I learned that if you want to reignite your life, don't think it has to be this big, abrupt, sudden, crazy change. Those can be great, but if those aren't well thought out, it becomes a train wreck and a midlife crisis versus an intentional new way of being. Because listen, that's how you reignite your life. An intentional new way of being. And that's what these 4 Ps are really going to be about. A new way of being for you. We don't have to change your marriage or your career. I'm not saying those things might not need to change, but you can reignite your life by starting with these 4 Ps. The first P is presence. Learning to be more present in the moment, more mindful and appreciative of what you already have that you've been missing. So many people think that they need something new to make them feel good, when I'm like, but didn't you see what your child just did? How cute was that? Or didn't you just notice that you do have more abundance than 50% of the world? Didn't you notice that today went by, no one shot at you? Nobody tried to stab you? Didn't you understand that today there was no crime in your house? Like, if that's true for you, you're lucky. And what happens is we lose our perspective, and we become people who are always attached to the next moment or the previous moment, and we're not here. And I've always found that when you can learn to get in this moment, and you can breathe and use your breath to engage in this moment, and you can notice the small things in this moment and just be in the moment, that when I'm here in the now, in this moment, I will always be happier. I will always notice things. I will always feel a sense of connection with life. The reason a lot of people are unhappy and they feel like they have to reignite it is because they become disconnected. They become disconnected with themselves. They become disconnected in their relationship. They become disconnected in their career. And the only thing they're connected to anymore is their phone, right? The only time there's any presence when they're like, oh, and they've lost presence with the moment, with this breath, with this joy of being alive. Like, I hope that you realize the ultimate way to reignite your life is to first have reverence for life. And if you have reverence for life, you connect with the moment. You have fun with the moment. You dance with the moment. It's all here. It's already here. You're already alive. You already won the lottery of this crazy cosmos that all these billions of cells aligned perfectly to make you right now? Please, you forgot this moment. You forgot the magic of now, and you're looking for tomorrow to make you happy when it's right here. It's a choice, it's a decision, it's an intention, it's a reconnection with the moment each day. Stop going through the day, going through the motions. Reconnect with the minute. Take notice of your breath. Take notice of what you're paying attention to. Appreciate the small things. Be present now, because trust me, if you can't learn to be present now, where you don't feel like life is going great, when it becomes great, you won't notice either. Trust me, I coach some of the highest level people in the world, and I always find this to be true. They have everything, and they're still not happy because they never trained themselves in the practice of presence. The second P that I think is so critical is people engagement. And that is, if you want to reignite your life, the way to do that is in your current relationships, the people you already interact with, the people you already love, the people you already lead, the people you already work with. I want you to re-engage them again. You got distracted and you thought that you know everything about them. You don't know a lot about your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, the people who you're working with. They are infinitely complex. But what you do is you shorthand them. You kind of like take them for granted. You stopped asking them the questions. You stopped engaging them deeply. And without depth in relationships, we'll never feel like life has its pop. Life has its pop when you're in a relationship with people and it's this deep and real and curious thing. That you honor the mystery in other people enough that you ask them questions, that you explore what they think, what they feel, what they need, what they desire. That curiosity with other people lights you up, man. But you take them for granted because you've been around them for a while. Yeah, you know your kids. Yeah, you know your husband. Yeah, you know your friends. But you don't. And once you accept that, it becomes like a curious thing again. I mean, think about all of the vibrancy and the pop that you had at the beginning of your relationship with somebody. Remember those first couple weeks of dating? It was just like magic and fire because you're learning so much about the person. And you're just like, oh, yeah, I learned this about the person. You tell your friends, oh, and she's like this and he's like that. It's so cute. It's because you were curious about them. You didn't pretend you know everything. But so many of us take our relationships for granted. And we're missing the very thing right in front of us. Just like presence, it's right in front of you. The people in your life are there to make your life come alive. You forgot that they're a tool for that. They're an ends, they're a means, they're a experience. They are there with you and for you in your life to make life have pop. And don't blame them if they're not giving you that. Because that's what we do. Well, she's just negative. She's terrible. They don't support me, Brendon. Yes, I understand, and that might be true. But if you haven't fully tried to re-engage them and been present with them, don't expect them to do it for you. So first, take ownership. Ask, have I really poured myself into these relationships, getting to know these people and diving deep? I mean, think about when someone does move to a new town. Why is it so magical? New people they can ask questions to and get to know. Well, they had people at their house too, but they forgot to do that. So I hope that makes sense. Re-engage the people around you. There is vibe and pop there like you just can't even imagine. Third P is probably it's not a sexy one. I gotta tell you, it's planning. Planning. The reason a lot of people want to reignite their life is because they're frustrated with where they are. They're not having the momentum behind them. They recognize they have unbelievable potential and they have not been activating it. And why? Because they have been leaving their growth, they have been leaving their momentum, they have been leaving their goals to randomness. But just see what happens. Every day, see what happens. Every day, see what happens. Every day, see what happens. And if every day is, I guess I'll just see what happens, guess what the odds are? In a month, nothing happened. 2 months, nothing happened again, because the world is good at letting you sit on your laurels. The world is good at it passing you by and not bringing new opportunities. Yes, sometimes we're lucky and new things come into our lives and it changes us. But often, we've got to architect that. We have to strategize it, we've got to structure it, and we've got to schedule it, baby. You have to think about that. You have to take back the strategy and the structure and the scheduling for you to get ahead. What does this mean? It means planning. It means I need to be able to show up in your house. You need to be able to open up your laptop or show me on a wall somewhere on a piece of paper at the kitchen table. Here's my plan, Brendon. Here's what I'm excited to do. Even if all that shows me is, what's my ideal day look like? I'm trying to work towards that every day, Brendon. It doesn't have to be your mission to go to Mars. It can just be like, here's what an ideal day would look like for me. I'm going to hit it more often than not. It's just a plan. And without a plan, without knowing what your next month is about, we end up going month to month to month, flailing about. And then one day we're going, I'm kind of miserable. And I don't know why. I'm like, I know why. Because you're the same as you were 5 years ago. And we all have within our heart and our soul the growth imperative. It's in us by biology, evolution, God, whatever you want to call it. We are meant to grow and to try to reach the rim of our full potential. But that can't be done without some planning. So think about, what do you want next month? What does your ideal days look like? What are the big goals and projects you want to work towards? Bust them down, put them in the calendar, start building knowledge, skills, and ability to be able to achieve those faster. And that's getting you a little momentum, because momentum makes life come back to full color. Got it? Other idea I think is really important is that as you're striving towards this, the fourth P is peaceful progress. One reason that people want to reignite their life isn't just because they didn't get where they wanted to be. One reason often is because where they got, they can't sustain it and they don't want to do it that way anymore. They burnt themselves out, they hustled themselves in the ground, they ground and ground and ground, and they were in the grind philosophy, and they cheated their relationships, they cheated their health, they cheated their joy, they stole away their presence because the way they were striving was not present, but also was not peaceful. You got to meet life with peace. Yes, there's that warrior part of us. Yes, there's that grind part of us. But if you ground yourself into exhaustion, that's why you feel like you need to reignite. That's why people love to go away to a week-long detox somewhere, because they're like, I need to turn off the phone, I need to eat healthier, I need to work out, I need to take care of myself. Because self-care is part of peaceful progress. To take care of yourself as you are striving isn't a luxury, is a necessity for long-term performance. As many of you guys know, I conducted the world's largest study that's ever been done on high performers, which are essentially the top 15% of the most accomplished people in any field, any art, any endeavor. And these top 15% people aren't superhuman, but one thing they are doing is they are striving more satisfied. They are joyous on their journey. They are happy with the path. They're not waiting for the destination or the outcome, and they're not grinding themselves in the ground every day with work. Rather, they're peaceful. There's a sense of centeredness to how they are proceeding through life. You ever meet somebody like that? They walk in the room and they're just so grounded and so centered and so peaceful, and you're like, gosh, I wish I had some of that. You got to practice yourself into that. So for some of you who just, you feel like always stress, always anxiety, always frustration, always nervousness, always like hustle, 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 geez, please teach yourself to meditate. Simple. Close your eyes, 20 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, and just release your thoughts and release the tension in your body. If you need a training on that, just Google me on YouTube and type in release meditation technique. The release meditation technique. I have a whole other video just like this where I teach how to meditate. 2 million people have learned to meditate from me. I'm super honored by that. It's something simple that can give you a daily break from all the noise in your head that can steal away your presence, steal away your connection with other people, steal away the motivation to pursue all that planning that you did. Because listen, you could do all those things, but if you're completely hectic, freaked out, anxious, upset all the time, and you're exhausted, there is no way. We cannot reignite your life without managing your self-care better. And I know you know all these things, but this is my invitation to you to explore. Or are you leaving any of this? Have you forgot your presence, the deep connection you have with people? Have you not been planning? And have you been progressing just with like all the time versus joy? You deserve to have a vibrant, joyous, connected, excellence-filled life. That's what we always talk about in HPX. It's my brand, right? The high performance experience, HPX, the high performance experience. That's what we all want. We all want that next level of experience. We all want to reignite and feel alive and have that fire inside. So try these 4 practices, see if they help you. Comment down below, tell us what you think. Share this video, build a community of people who are positive, who are enlightened, who are conscious, who are excited about life, because that will also help you reignite it all, my friends. Energy. Mental and physical and spiritual strength or vibrancy. I just call it energy in high performance training. What is my energy? Do I have the energy to serve? Do I have the energy to focus? Do I have the energy to go to the gym? Do I have the energy to be nice to my spouse and my partners and my friends? Do I have the energy to do the work today? Like for me, when my energy is low or it is dipping, I always go, what is causing that? It's almost always 2 things. It's almost, if my energy dips low in the day, I always know there's 2 culprits. 1, something happened that bothered my brain. I got annoyed, frustrated, or hurt by something. I got annoyed, frustrated, or hurt by something. And it happened recently. It happened in the last day or 2. And it's affecting my energy right now. Your energetic state right now is a hangover. Your mood right now is a hangover effect. Not always negative, it can be positive. But it's an effect of something, right? Input, output, cause, effect. That's real. So I'm like, okay, well, what has hooked me? What has angered me? What has frustrated me? And then I'll do something like Byron Katie's teaching on the work. And I'll just flip the question, or I'll flip the feeling. I'll say, okay, what would my life be like without that thought? Is that thought true? What's the opposite of that thought? And I'll just question those things that annoyed me, frustrated, or hurt me. And then I'll do the physical work again of releasing those things. And if I need help with releasing those, many of you guys know, I love and invested in the tapping solution. So I'll just tap. I'll just go into my mind, for those who know tapping, and I'll just do a tapping routine. For those who want to learn tapping, you can learn it in the GrowthDay app. There's a course in there on it already. And so I'll just do something physical to release that tension. But again, I said there's 2 reasons probably for my low energy. Is 1, something mentally or emotionally, it hooked my brain. And it's lowering the quality of energy I feel in life. The second one for me, which is big, is the last 72 hours of physical exercise and nutrition. It's like you feel right now what you consumed and how you moved in the last 72 hours. Most people think it's only during the day. No, the food you ate 3 days ago, that's still in your body. The supplement, the nutrition from that, the macros from that, whether you burned it off or not, the energy, the energetic effect culminates 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. And that's why sometimes people, if you've ever done a cleanse or something, you don't feel that much different in the first day or 2, but by day 3 or 4, you start like getting like this amazing clarity. Why? That 72-hour cycle of biology that we humans have. It's why when I know I'm going to teach a seminar to y'all, like I'm going to go, like I've been blessed to, a lot of the industry knows, we teach the single 2 hardest events in the world. When it was High Performance Academy and then Certified High Performance Coaching, these are literally 9 hours a day on stage, often by myself, and used to be, now I've got a little smarter about it, but it was intensely difficult. And if you see me on stage, I'm not sitting like I am now in this little room in quarantine. I'm like bouncing the whole time. We're dancing the whole time. I'm running back and forth, the flip chart down in the audience, walking around. I do a marathon a day in steps, jumps, and movement, right? It's unbelievable. I got to eat 3 times the calories to pull off each of those days. And I can tell you, when I'm on stage and I'm not feeling it, I don't go, wow, what just happened last hour? I'm like, okay, what was the last 3 days here?
When was I moving? How was I recovering? What was I eating? When was I moving? How was I recovering? What was I eating? And I'll run that through over and over, and I'll identify. I'm like, oh, you know what? There was that 1 hour after that stage, I was all hyped. I didn't eat. Or, oh, you know what? There was that time. You know what? I should have spent another 20 minutes meditating or sleeping. Or I just run back. So I want you to do that. Anytime you don't feel well, I really want to cue you to develop the habit. This is like my advanced habit. If I don't feel well, I'm like, okay, 72 hours. What hooked my brain or my ego, maybe frustrated, angry, upset? Let me release that right now. That's the first thing, a release technique again. Second thing is, okay, have I moved and what did I eat? So it's like, oh, on Friday, I had those 3 glasses of wine versus that 1. Got it. That's a lingering effect. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Or, oh, you know what? I really just wanted to cheat and I did, but now I'm paying for it. And listen, I'm not here to judge anybody. Whatever you want to eat, consume, the stuff that you do, not my business. My business is reminding you that wellness is experience of life, and you have either defined what wellness looks like and feels like to you, or you have not. And because I have, this is so important to me. I hate when I don't have this. Lacking energy to me is so painful that I structure my life to ensure I have it. I don't know about you, but I've laid in hospital beds for days. I don't know about you, but I've served in hospice and saw people who couldn't get out of bed and had their last breaths. I don't know about you, but I've had those times on stage or service or moments with family or friends when I didn't feel energy. And because I didn't feel energy, I didn't do a good job for them. And I hated those moments. I want to do a good job for people. And I think to do a good job for people, I got to care for my energy. And so I always tell people, if you haven't gotten healthy for yourself yet, do it for the people around you who are getting the shrapnel of your bad energy. Bad energy, negative energy. There's shrapnel from that. There's emotional trauma from that. There's stuff from that we got to make sure we release and not hold on to. And I know you guys know all this, but I hope it helps you. The practice I have is a 72-hour assessment of my energy. Whenever I dip, I'm like, let me do my little 72 hours. Where was my ego hooked, annoyed, or hurt? Let me let that go. What was my fueling routine, my movement routine? Oh, no wonder I feel like crap. I've been sitting for 3 days. Oh, my back is mad. I forgot to stretch. I didn't open up my body and my breath with a workout, a walk, a bike, a run, a hike. I didn't move. No wonder. Oh, gosh, let me go. Come on, honey, let's go for a walk. And just get that movement back in. Get that movement back in. For those who've studied me with high performance work before, I recommend like a 2x2 or a 3x3. All that means is like every, twice a week, you do a, high intensity workout at least twice a week, or 3 times a week. You do 3 times a week. You do a 60. I'm sorry. A 2x2 is once a week. You do a HIIT training, and once a week you do a 60-minute cardio training. That's a 2x2. A 3x3 is you're just adding more to that. So you're doing a one session HIIT, 1 session long cardio, 1 session some other type of movement that you love to do that just opens up your body and gives you flexibility, maybe like a yoga or something. But whatever your routine is, did you move? Everyone knows the number one challenge to long-term health is nutrition and movement. Number 1 and number 2. And people always say, no, it must be sleep. I'm like, number 1 and number 2 are the greatest weapons you have for greater sleep. It is your nutrition and it is your physical movement that gives you the ability to sleep well. Now, guess what? When you have reverence for life and you're releasing that tension throughout the day, emotionally, letting go of that ego or that hurt, now you sleep like a baby. Like I've been blessed with sleep for a long time, not because it came natural, because I sucked at it. And I said, I got to get better at this. So I changed my nutrition. I moved more. I did more emotional releasing of tension. And those were part of my days. Remember, wellness is not something you do once in a while. It is the experience of life. You have to do these many times a day. Also, for those who've studied for a long time, With energy, every 45 minutes, I'm up, I'm bouncing, I'm moving, I'm opening up all the meridians on my body. I'm taking 10 deep breaths and bouncing in place and closing my eyes to rest. That energetic movement every hour, that breath work every hour, that opening meridians every hour, it's how I'm annoying all the time. It's like, you hang out with me like, wow, that guy goes all day. And he's in it all day. I had to train that. You're training your focus right now. You're training your energy. You're training your ability to serve. It's happening right now. And it happened last 72 hours too.
High performance training, action mindset. This is important. How do you develop the action mindset, but actually also, here, I should just add this in here. How do you actually get the action mindset and then make it a discipline? Discipline. Here it is. First thing you got to adopt, well, there it goes, is let's try this, your 30-minute daily block. People tell me all the time, Brendon, I got this dream or this goal. I'm like, great. What 30-minute period of day are you going to work on it today? What do you mean? Well, you said you have a big goal, right? Yeah. Big idea, right? Yeah. Okay. Show me when's the 30-minute block that thing gets today. It's a new idea, you say, right? Yeah. Okay. Where is it? Is it 1:30 to 2? Is it 4 to 4:30? Is he going to check it at 5 right after work till 5:30, then get on the commute a little later? Like when? New ideas must have new blocks of time. Write it down. New ideas must have new blocks of time. If you got a new idea, someday, big dream, and it doesn't land in the calendar, at least, listen, daily, 30-minute daily block of time, of course you're not going to get momentum. It's got to be, look, if you won't give it something 30 minutes a day, it don't matter to you. Just be honest. Like, any good parent will tell you this. Like, if you don't spend 30 minutes with your kids a day, I mean, good luck in having that connection. Good luck in forging that future. Good luck in helping that person feel loved and supported. I mean, if something is important to you, you give it time. Is it true? So if this idea is important to you, immediately mindset, this is what I immediately do, 30 minutes. And if it's a completely new idea, it's got to get at least 30 minutes if I want it to actually come true. And it's important from the time I set the idea, the next day it gets 30 minutes. Big new idea, must do it. If it's important to me, the next day it gets 30 minutes. Not 4 years from now. Like right now, I have a big partnership I'm working on. Like it completely came into my life, totally interrupted my life. I don't have any time, but it's important. I found 30 more minutes a day, right? 30 more minutes is easy to find for everybody. People don't think they can. It's possible. I just had a friend, and I get in a huge argument over lunch about this. Not everybody can find 30 minutes. And I'm like, who can't find 30 minutes more a day? Like, show me. Which a little more discipline, a little more planning and preparation. Who can't find 30 more minutes a day? Well, I'm busy and I have all these things and you don't understand. I'm like, okay, well, walk me through your day. Well, I have to get up. I got to get everything, get the kids ready for work. I got to get in the car. I got to commute. That commute's an hour every single day. I can't take away that. I got to do this and this and this. And I'm like, well, what if you didn't drive? What do you mean? Well, what if you didn't drive the car so that your focus and attention could be doing something else? Well, I got to do the commute. I don't know. I've noticed that a lot of cars have a passenger seat, and some of them even have a back seat. And if you sit in one of those, you don't have to do this, and I just got you an hour a day. So many people they believe so deeply that they are managing their time so great. I'm like, no, most people have so much free time, they have no idea. It's that they are distracted and unprepared or addicted to consuming, that they're losing little pieces. And especially here in the United States, you guys have heard me rail on this, the average American, 4 hours of television a day. Don't tell me you don't have 30 minutes a day. I don't know anyone who can't find 30 more minutes a day for a great new idea that can change their life. You got a new idea that can change your life? Find your 30 minutes every single day. Number 2, remember the first output rule. First output rule says this: if you've got a big new dream, big new goal, big new idea, don't think that you have to do what we've all been taught, which is begin with the end in mind, because sometimes you don't know what the end in mind is. But you know the first step. So what I tell people is like, I got a big new idea. I go, great. What's the first output that you would have to create on that immediately? What's like the first output that would start you on the path? I don't know. Okay, figure that out. First step, first output, right? First step is not the research. What's the first output? Let me give you an example. When I began my career, I said, one day I'm gonna do video courses. End in mind, I'm gonna do all my online courses. That was the big idea. I, Brendon Burchard, am gonna do online courses. Guess what I didn't do? I didn't say, well, I better figure out the whole curriculum for all the courses for the rest of my life. Begin with the end in mind. Didn't do that. I said, what's the first step that would allow me to start doing that? Okay, first step, get in front of camera, teach, and post it on the internet. That's the first output. One teaching video on the internet. So I went and I got my stupid little, at the time, flip video camera. Some of you guys know about those. Got a flip video camera. I duct taped it to a box. I put on my cleanest shirt at the time, and I stared at the camera and I taught. And I pulled off the flip video camera and I spent 4 hours uploading it on the internet. You remember that? Probably not. But you remember that? Yeah, upload, and then it wouldn't play because it wouldn't stream fast enough. But I spent the time. The first output to me building an online course empire, one video. What's your first output? Do that now. That's how you maintain momentum. The reason people don't stick to their habits is because they're waiting to create the output someday. I'm like, what's the first output? Do it. That's the thing to work on right now. When you got that 30-minute daily block, work towards that first output. Because you get the first output, you got real momentum. You get the first output, your dream, your idea is realized, it's tangible. It's like, ooh, I did that thing. First output. If you don't know the first output of what you have to create, you don't even have a dream. You don't even have a fully thought out idea. First output, make it, do it, create it, post it, do the thing. That's it. I want to write a book, Brendon, but I don't know what the whole book is. I'm like, great, first output, first page, write it. What do you mean I don't know what the book is? Write the first page. But I don't know what the book is. Write the first page. First output would be the first page of the book, right? Write the first page. But I don't know what the 5 chapters are. I don't write the first page. See? You don't have to know the whole picture. First step, do the first output. Because you get that first page done, you'll probably get that next page done. You'll probably get the next page done, and you'll start getting clarity of the project. A lot of the creativity of life comes in motion, not beginning in speculation. Okay, next up, number C, 90-day challenge. I can't believe how many people have a big dream or big goal and they don't set up their own 90-day challenge. Like, okay, what's your first output? Good job, appreciate you, but you got 30 minutes every single day. In 90 days, where are we? 90 days, 3 months, let's go. Because see, what most people are, they're scared to commit to the big idea and dream. And I go, oh, don't commit to the first big idea or dream. Not for life, just like you won't ruin your life forever. Don't commit to your new idea or dream forever. I need 90 days. Give me 90 days, man. Commit to that thing 90 days and get at it for 90 days. Reevaluate after the 90 days where you're at. Don't think, see, most people don't take an action because they think, well, I'll have to do this action forever, just like they worry, I'll be ruined forever. There's no forever. There just isn't. There's just now. None of us are guaranteed anything. So if what we have is right this moment and we're looking to the future and we're working towards that, good job. In 90 days, where are you? That's it. What'd you do in 90 days? Did you lose 5 pounds? Great. You don't have to say, I'm going to be completely life transformed. I'm going to have 6-pack abs and still drink pina coladas on the beach with 40 people in bikinis around me. No. Dude, lose 5 pounds. You got 90 days. Go. Like, just set the 90-day challenge for yourself and get at that. And then worry about the next series of goals after that. So if you've got a big idea or a dream and you're really committed to it, commit to a 90-day challenge. And what does that mean for you specifically? What's going to happen at the end of the 90 days? How you think, how you feel, how you'll move, what we will achieve, what outputs are created. Get really clear on those types of things. You'll be so happy you did. Without these things, there is no idea into action. There is no momentum. That's why you didn't stick to your habit, because you didn't give it 30 minutes a day. You didn't stick to your habit because you didn't even know what you were supposed to do. You didn't stick to your habit because you didn't at least set a time period that was realistic for yourself, that was doable. D, you got to have your drop list. There is no new idea in your life without a drop list of things to stop doing. A drop list. I'm dropping these things. I'm not doing these things. I'm saying no to these things. I'm getting this off the agenda. I'm letting that responsibility go. It's the things you aren't going to do that help you do the things that you're going to do. So you got to spring clean a little bit. If you got new dreams in your life, spring clean. What are you going to stop doing, right? I'm very, very, very disciplined about this for me personally. I have one of my own personal practices on the first of every month. I make my drop list every month, not once a year, every month. I go, okay, this month, what do I need to drop? Because inevitably, I'm moving so fast, I pick up new things I'm doing all the time, right? Some new idea, new dream, new thought, because I'm trying to innovate, I'm trying to be up front, I'm trying to lead, I'm trying to change things, and then what ends up happening is, throughout the month, other people also do what? Other people give you responsibilities, give you ideas, give you programs. They're adding onto your plate. All month long, you're collecting a bigger and bigger plate, right? Some months I go, okay, well this month, I'm gonna do these 5 new things. And the end of that month, I realize, you know what, I'm not gonna be able to maintain 5. I'm gonna drop 2 of them. I'll stick with 3, but I can't do all 5. That's a drop list. Without a drop list, I have no idea how you can keep adding new things. Make sense? Some of the biggest breakthroughs in our life is when we just stop doing the things that we know aren't right for us. Next up, big important one, the Friday friend status call. Everything that we know from goal setting comes back to sociology. If you don't have someone you're doing something with actively, if you don't have an accountability partner, you don't have a coach, you don't have a friend you go to lunch with or someone you talk it through, then the odds of that happening for you are so low. Because you know what? We're social beings. We need processing time with other people. And the more processing time we have, usually the more progress we get. Right? It's why therapy is so powerful in unlocking people, or coaching so powerful in unlocking people. It's like, oh, I'm processing, oh, I'm getting distinction, I'm getting more progress. You need that Friday friend status call. If you got a big new goal or dream, all I want you to do, every Friday at the end of the day, literally 5-minute, 10-minute, 15, 30-minute call, whatever it is, pick it up, call your friend and say, I did this week. Struggled with this worked, that went well. Now you go, how did you do? And just, you got one person in your life every week you're talking about momentum with. I don't care if it's your mom. I prefer this as a human, so not the cat, but a human that you every single week you talk through things with. Like, where are you? I don't care if it's the librarian. I don't care if it's your social worker. I don't care if it's your brother. I don't care who it is. It's gonna be the stranger across the street. Don't talk to strangers if you're PG-13. But everybody else, have that conversation and just on a Friday go, hey man, this is where I'm at. Because if you won't do that, I promise, if you don't socialize your learning, you will not achieve your dreams. You must socialize. What am I learning? Where am I at? How's it going? What am I struggling with? You got to ask for help, but you need a consistent basis. Big dreams require weekly check-ins. Write it down. Big dreams require weekly check-ins. So who's going to be your weekly check-in? Accountability coach? Friend? Mentor? Who? Every week, check-in. And if you're like, well, I don't know anybody, everybody hates me. You know what? Go on your Facebook page every Friday at 5 and go, this is what I learned this week. This is what I tried. What did you guys try? And all the people who make fun of you, delete them. And everybody else say, good for you. So easy. Life's very simple. Next, create motivation triggers. When I walked in this door today, it's the same when I walk in the doors of my conference rooms when I'm doing my seminars, that usually my doorway trigger, meaning that's what a motivation trigger is. A trigger is something physical or tangible happens and you attach either a statement or an action to it, okay? Trigger is something tangible that you say or do when something else happens. So when I walk through a door, and that's every door of my life, I walk through a door, my mind almost always says, because I've just conditioned it over and over and over doing this, I walk through a door, my mind says, I am a happy man entering this space ready to serve. I'm a happy man entering this space ready to serve. It's been since I was like 20 years old. One, because I always want to remind myself, I'm happy. I have so much to be grateful for. So do you. So how are you reminding yourself that you're grateful, that you're happy, that you're good? And then I remind myself, I'm entering this space ready to serve. Not hoping to serve, not maybe one day I'll deserve to serve. I'm ready right now. Whatever I know, I believe in my ability to figure things out. I'm ready to serve now. I don't need permission. I don't need more money. I don't need more team. I'm ready to, whatever I got, I'm ready. Let's go. I don't need new things, more things, better things, tons of things. I'm ready to serve right now. Let's go. I'm not ever waiting to provide service to the world. Ever. You don't have to have the big stuff, the fancy stuff. Just go. I didn't have big fancy cameras and lights and fancy big flip charts when I started this. It was me in a really dirty shirt with the thing, the buttons too hung open, like, ugh, you know, it's like, it was so nasty and gnarly and bad. It was awesome, and I was ready to serve. You don't have to have everything. I was watching this documentary recently on my main man, Usain Bolt, one of the greatest, well, he is the greatest sprinter of all time, right? And you see the scene of him, and he's doing sprints in a field with like this sort of little belt tied around his waist, tied to a chain, tied to, we would call it a weight sled, but you could barely call it that. A little metal sled where you put on like, weights, like a 45-pound weight from it, like lifting. And it's like, so he would sprint with this little things. When you go to the NFL, or I work with my, my major teams, they got the fancy sleds, these longer sleds that glide when you take off, that release proportionate amount of tension along with the weight as you speed up, like very fancy contraptions now. This dude, the best ever, is down in Jamaica in a hot field with this huge belt on, with like one coach, not 12 coaches, one coach standing there next to him. He ties this thing, and when he takes off, this thing is bouncing along behind him. It's like, you're like, and he's the world's best, because he's not waiting to have everything to train, he's training. I'm not waiting to have everything to serve, I'm serving. So many of my people, well, one day when I have a following, I'll post some stuff. I'm like, start posting stuff. Now, one day, when I'm ready, I'll put myself, no, there is no one day to be ready. You're ready now, go. It is a mindset you must have. You're ready to go. So that's one of my triggers. Walk through a door, I'm entering the space as a happy man, ready to serve, let's go. And that's just one trigger. I have all sorts of other triggers. I have different doorway triggers. When I walk in my house, I say something a little different to myself than when I walk in my office. But other triggers I have. When a door closes in a car, every time a door closes in a car, I say something else to myself. When I walk into my office, I take a first action that triggers momentum for me. Like, you need to have first actions or space triggers that help you stay your best. They're ultimately all geared towards one thing. How can you remind yourself to be at your best? And how do you use physical objects, time periods, situations to get yourself there? That's the question. That's your job. These are motivation triggers, because if you're not triggering yourself, the world's doing it for you. And if the world's doing it, you know what the world's going to trigger you towards? Angst, outrage, distraction, consumption. It's not going to trigger you towards you being your best self. So if you didn't maintain your habits this year, go on my YouTube channel and type in the word, type in the power of habits, and you'll see a video that will teach you how to set some more of those examples, right? If you look in a mirror, you should have a mirror trigger. See your reflection of yourself, say something to yourself. I know that sounds like just like positive thinking kind of stuff, and you know what it is. Because what's the alternative? Stupid thinking, negative thinking, scarcity thinking? You need to have a little bit more triggers set up to make you work. And sometimes if it's not just you, get somebody else to do it. Get a coach to do it, a mentor to do it, a friend to do it. But you need to be triggered to be your best. How are you currently triggering yourself to be your best? Many of you know, you've been with me for years. We kind of, now everybody does it, but we were the first one to do it. When the smartphone came out and the first alarm was able to be set a label, I created this training and put it out about saying, hey, use this alarm label on your phone to send yourself reminders to tell you to be awesome. Put your 3 words in here that pop up and remind you who to be. Use this as a trigger to be your best instead of as a box of consumption, because this can be a weapon for good or a weapon that takes you into distraction, but it's up to you, just like the rest of life. Self-reliance, it's up to you.
I call it the 3 E's. Okay, the 3 E's of a relationship. This is when I know a relationship is great and can improve in a conflict situation. So if I'm mediating or counseling or coaching, here's what I do. I watch for, in those initial interactions, when they're coming in, they're describing the problem as an example to me. I watch for the 3 E's. First one, empathy. Empathy. Does it look like the other is listening and is caring what the other person is saying and can understand it even if they don't agree with it?
Can they understand it even if they don't agree with it? That's a big one for me. Can they understand it even if they don't agree with it? That to me is empathy. They care that the other person is hurt or confused or upset about something. Like there's just empathy. Often it's nonverbal. I can see that. The nonverbal stuff is the easiest. But often what people don't understand is a lot of times empathy looks like listening. Even if you don't agree, it can listen, like this can be empathy. Literally, this can be empathy. Like you think they're crazy, but you're giving them the allowance to speak. It's empathizing enough. Like we all believe that empathy is warm hugs and sunshine, but a lot of the time empathy is allowing turn taking, asking a question, waiting, nodding, not arguing, or it's saying, I heard you say this. I see it this way. It's those simple notes of validation, time, openness make all the difference. Second thing I look for of the 3 E's, the first E is empathy. Second E is enthusiasm. I think enthusiasm is the master of all emotion, right? Even more than love. People are like, you're crazy. I'm like, no. I know lots of people who have love, but there's no enthusiasm in the relationship anymore. There's no intimacy, no pop, no vibrancy, no variety. It's like they care for each other, but there's no energy behind it. I think the energy behind things is enthusiasm. When we're excited about building our life together, or listen, when we're excited about solving this problem together. I remember the first, I was doing a divorce referred mediation. I was in grad school, and I knew this couple was going to survive. It was 5 minutes into this thing because they were just we were so excited to solve this thing together. And I was like, you're gonna be great. I immediately knew. And it was so easy. It was not easy. It was so well resolved because there was enthusiasm. Even if we don't agree, enthusiasm for the solution. Enthusiasm to move out of this crappy time. I love when people do coaching or counseling, and I've talked to therapists who go, oh my gosh, they were so happy to finally share their hatred for each other. They were so enthusiastic to get it out and to talk about it and to start working on it. The enthusiasm to work on it, the enthusiasm to improve it, the enthusiasm to build that future together, the enthusiasm to resolve it, that is such an indicator of things. So how do you feel? Are you enthusiastic to improve that relationship, to grow it? Are you enthusiastic to go deeper, enthusiastic to do the things for your other who just loves it? Are you enthusiastic about them and their life? So important. Empathy, enthusiasm. And the third one, encouragement. The strongest relationships are built on encouragement, right? We know this from the social sciences. I know many of you guys heard me recommend, for the last decade, the work by John Gottman and his wife in research and relationships. I love that work. And one of the critical things that came out of that was such a simple distinction that happy couples tend to praise each other 5 times more than they complain or negate. And whether that ratio is true in all relationships across all cultures is probably not super validated. But what I do believe is the simple way to break that down is encourage your partner a lot. Encourage them, cheer them on. They got a big day, do something. Look here, I got this on this laptop over here from Denise. Can I see that? You guys probably can't see this, dude. No, I'm not gonna show up. It's a Post-it note that she gave me 6 months ago. I still have it on my computer. It says, I love you. I appreciate you. I know you are doing big things. I love you. I appreciate you. I know you are doing things. It was just a Post-it note she put on my computer in a really particularly difficult week that I was having. And we're both pretty good about leaving little notes around for each other, especially when we're traveling or we'll be apart or something like that. But also throughout the day. She put something over there that she likes, or she does. I'm like, I love that. Good job. That's amazing. And we don't say that flippantly. We were like, that's great. That's amazing. We cheer each other on a lot. And I think that's huge. The ability to encourage one another is so vital. So vital. Okay, so the 3 things: empathy, encouragement, Empathy, enthusiasm, and encouragement. I look for those, I watch for them. But listen, don't just look for them. Cultivate them. Cultivate them. And if you don't know how to do it, ask your partner. Be like, hey, how can I demonstrate empathy for you more? Hey, how can I bring some enthusiasm in this relationship? Hey, do you feel like I encourage you enough? What could I do better? Because ultimately, all these things we're talking about, remember, you have to do together. It's about the relationship first. You're going to build this life together. The most important phrase to me, if I was advising him, was like, you're co-creating your future together. Co-creation. People support what they create. You create it together and you support it together. And that's everything. So it's never like, I'm mad at you for this reason. It's like, we were in that situation, didn't seem to go good. What can we do better? It's the we story, not just the me story. It's the understanding that we must communicate together, plan together, and work together to build the ideal future together, to build the energy, co-create the energy together. These things matter, but they're open dialogues, and you don't have to be right, and they don't have to be right. You get a turn, they get a turn. You understand if they're not going to agree with you. You understand they're not. It's fluid, it's dynamic, and that's what makes a relationship great versus it has to be this way or it has to be that way or we butt heads. You know when most people evaluate themselves? When they have a performance review coming up at work, when they've really screwed something up and they're guilty and they're thinking of all the other stupid things they've done that hurt them. You know, when they hit a birthday, when they hit New Year's, when someone holds up a mirror in front of them and says, hey, you're being a jerk, and they have to really reevaluate. Most people are not proactively assessing their performance. And so when it comes time to do that, they're disappointed. And so if this is not a basic habit for you, I need you to start scoring yourself at the end of the day. Now, people really don't like this one, and I'm just going to be upfront about that. You probably won't want to do this, and a lot of people don't. But if there's something inside of you that is restless for that next level, we're going to have to start measuring. If you don't measure it, you can't improve it. And the same way that most people, you know, if you ever try to lose weight or gain, you notice, apparently this is weightlifting talk, but if you've ever tried to like get stronger, you got to write it down. Like, how many reps did you do? How did you, what routines did you do today? How much weight did you use? Like, if you do that in the gym, well, you got to do that in the playground of life too. But most don't. And they're really struggling. I can't tell you, it's just like painful to watch. I'll show up and I'll like, tell me about your life. And first, they don't even know where to start because they've never measured themselves. And then second, in the dialogue with me as a high performance coach, I find them disappointed, upset, struggling, unsure of themselves. And a lot of that could have been handled if, on a more consistent basis, they were self-aware and personally accountable to their own behavior and growth. I mean, isn't it true? Don't you know somebody you wish, oh my gosh, I wish that person would like stop at the end of the day and say, am I being a good person? I mean, isn't there someone you're so frustrated with right now in life who you would just love to sit them down and say, hey, you need to be more self-aware. You aren't paying attention to who you're being, and it's hurting everybody around you. Jerk. We all have that person we wish they were more self-aware. But how do you get self-awareness? You just go to a meditative retreat once a year? Do you luck out into being a self-aware person? Self-awareness is gained by self-evaluation. If you want to be better, aware of who you are, where you can grow, how you can uniquely give or serve, we need to evaluate yourself. Does this make sense? So what are your habits right now for evaluating yourself? What do they look like? How are you measuring yourself and your progress in life? What are those? If you got some, man, virtual high five, I could be there with you. Celebrate that. That's awesome, right? That's incredible, because most people don't do that. So I hope that you are doing that, but it's a struggle for a lot of people too. So here's a simple way that you can end your day scoring yourself along the lines of, again, what we're talking about here, productivity specifically. You might have other ways. You might score your personal values. You might score your energy. You might score how much influence you had with other people. I'm going to give you some related to what we talked about, productivity, so we can get some quick wins and gains for you as we jump into more in-depth training. Here's what those are. I would like to ask yourself at the end of the day these specific statements, and then rate yourself. Low, 1 means you suck. Okay? 5 means you're awesome. You're doing a good job, okay? So let's walk through these. Number 1, I worked on things that mattered most today. I know that's basic, so I'll go fast here. Number 2, I progressed a major dream or goal today. Meaning, did you progress today? Number 3, I avoided distractions well today. Number 4, I set intentions before each major activity today. That's a huge one. Number 5, I fully engaged and enjoyed my efforts today, because high performers strive satisfied. They're engaged, and in that engagement they find joy, and they find fulfillment, satisfaction, confidence. It's by engaging. So how did you do today? Did you enjoy your efforts or not? Now remember, low, 1, 1, 1, 1, high, 5, 5, 5. Where are you here? So every day I sit myself down and I started scoring myself. This is probably about 7 years ago. And remember, 7 years ago, I was still then a certified high performance coach. 7 years ago, I was like, my career was just taking off. And what we want to believe is that people just kind of bumble into progress. People bumble into momentum. I'm telling you, high performers are more strategic and they're more self-evaluative. Now, many of them, this was a unconscious competence for them. They really didn't know that their self-talk was so oriented towards self-evaluation until I did some coaching and interviewing with them to discern that. But it turns out high performers, they're measuring stuff. Now, I just want to make it easier for you. So here's a simple tool. Just write those things down, then score yourself. Now, when you score yourself, at the end of the day, add your score up. So let's say your 3s all the way down. That'd be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Montana kid doing math. And it was right. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say you're 15. So you add your score up, that'd be 15. Then multiply it by 4. 15 times 4 is 60. That will give you a score of 100%. Okay? Whatever your score is, keep seeking clarity each day, and you'll get better and better and better. Try to improve this each day. Look, there's going to be days you're a 2, other days you're a 5, but the goal is to ask yourself this. Like, I want you to do something, and if this sounds too basic, here's what I want you to do, and add to your routine that maybe you already have. Maybe you end your day with journaling. Congratulations, not enough. Okay? Instead, what I want you to do is create your own scoring mechanism for the end of the day, whether it's taking a page out of my playbook here, or you're scoring yourself, right? If I ask you, how'd you do today? And you go, good. That's one level of self-evaluation. But if I say, how did you do today? And I give you a specific context. How did you do today in keeping to your own agenda? That you might say, good, or pretty well. But if I say, how did you do today in keeping to your own agenda on a scale of 1 to 10? 1, you sucked and got pulled into everybody else's agenda. You got totally distracted. You didn't get anything done you wanted to. 10, you were superbly excellent today. You stayed on point. It's different quality, isn't it? When you got to rate yourself and you're like, I was a 6. And then my next question to you goes, well, why were you a 6 versus, say, a 10? Then you can go, oh, well, because I made these decisions, or I allowed that, or this person did this. Okay, great. Okay. Well, what would it take to go from a 6 to a 10? Well, I would have had to have done this, or next time I would do this, right? As soon as you score yourself, you have an anchor or a benchmark from which to move yourself, and a different level of self-evaluation. So what could you, I know I'm talking along about this. There's one reason. I'm trying to get you in your own unconscious mind right now to be generating a lot of ways you could score yourself. Because for me, there's 50 different things I score myself on at the end of the day. 50. Now, here's the thing. I don't let my low numbers bum me out. Because the truth is, you know what, measuring myself across 50 things every day, it's not like I'm a robot. I'm like, it's not like I'm perfect in every one of those areas. But here's what happens. Let me tell you this. This is a huge insight, so please write this down. If you're not scoring yourself consistently, that's why you feel so out of balance. If you're not scoring yourself consistently, that's why you feel yourself so out of balance. It's why, one day you realize you've been working so hard, but you neglected the kids. Why? Did you neglect the kids because you're a bad person or a bad parent? No, it's because you didn't have the quality of your experience with them on a radar, on a dashboard, on a sheet at the end of each day or maybe each week. And so what happens is, life takes hold of us. We get caught in the stream of life and we're just kind of getting carried along. And then one day we wake up and we realize, wait, I've gone down 7 different, river channels that I didn't anticipate, right? And so the only way to keep us there is to evaluate. And I think if you can do that, things significantly shift. So I hope that you'll figure out what is your end of day scoring. I'm sure while I've been talking, you've been thinking of other things. You could score your energy. You could score how you treated your wife or your kids or your team. You could score how much you stayed focused. You could score how well you actually made sales or how well you dealt with clients or how well you built your business. I don't know what it is for you. But if you don't know what it is for you, and if you aren't scoring, I know the next level is right there for you. It's right there. So put this in play. This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.